It's always been a question I've been asked very frequently about what is really innovation in our industry. So it all boils down to, reinventing existing tech, using mixed media and packaging that into immersive experiences, unique delivery in terms of audiovisual, and putting together a solution that has been packaged with existing technology, making it really affordable for the end user, right? There could always be some special tech in the market, but obviously sometimes it's not practical when it comes to deploying them within events itself. So some of the things that we've been seeing in the industry for the last probably decade or two have been all of these. I mean, there's been AR, VR in the market for like probably the last 2 decades. If you're talking about even holograms, these are things we've been seeing in movies for the last 2-3 decades. But from where did those concepts come up? It was already because of the existing R&D in place with technology that was creating those kind of illusions and holograms. And what we see today is an evolution of the same technology, just making it more commercial viable and making sure that it's easily deployable. Because in the end, any piece of technology completely boils down to what can be easily consumed by the consumer, which means the least amount of effort for them to step into the experience. Because if the access to a piece of technology is cumbersome or could make a person feel awkward, they would not go and engage with it, right? So there has to be an element of seamlessness. So what are we talking about today in terms of AI and the integration of Chat GPT and all that jazz and those words, those new words you keep hearing very frequently now being used in our industry, has been there for quite some time. Earlier it was called softwares and algorithms. Now they've been given a new title. Earlier you had 3D worlds and virtual worlds, today they're called the metaverse. It's just an evolution that keeps changing and giving new names and titles to the technology as it evolves. But it all boils down to data. That's one major element when it comes to the success of major deliveries of events, especially like these, to have data. How successful were the exhibitors? What kind of footfall? How much of data was transferred between the consumer and the exhibitor? Same thing goes with speakers. I would love to know how many people have had sufficient data to take back with them. What have they learned from my presentation? This kind of data helps me drive improving my content for the next show, right? So it's all about data, and how that data can be collected today with the new infrastructure and technologies in the market is basically the game changer. And it's up to us now on how we deliver that through our events to the audience and collect the data to make meaningful changes on the next one around. So one of the key things which I keep telling all of my partners is how do we push the limits when it comes to cross-platform integration and making sure we tap on more than 2 senses of the people that are consuming your content. Right? For the last few decades, it's always been audio and visual. You see and you hear, right? Through a training, in school, in a movie theater, in a presentation like today, you're always watching and listening. There's always 2 senses. Soon as a 3rd sense or a 4th sense is incorporated into the experience, that's when you start to captivate your audience. It's about jumping that line from a passive audience over to an active audience. When you go into active audience is when you start to let them touch, feel, sense things. When you add that element of touch, or you add that element of aroma, which gives a 3rd sense within the human mind to activate, you're basically captivating your audience, which means a lot more information is now being absorbed while they're experiencing more than 2 senses, right? So how do we do that today? So let's talk about some of the current trending tech that has been evolving over the years and what is there in the future, which will come further down. We've all been through the pandemic. We've all been through some really good virtual experiences and some really bad ones. And then we have a lot of our clients who do not know the difference between a Zoom video call and a virtual experience, or something like, the metaverse experiences that are being delivered right now with avatars moving around. Again, that's a fine line between what the audience want and what the audience are really going to engage with, right? Most of the metaverse-driven virtual events have never succeeded. Why? It's because it was too cumbersome for the end user. Having to basically able to play a game within a virtual event, to move around, create your avatar, start to interact with people. Not every average person in the audience who are at a virtual event can make themselves comfortable in a very short span of time and then explore the entire canvas, right? So technologies like these are what succeeded, where now imagine the element of a hybrid event where the virtual audience are on stage, giving you the flexibility of having any kind of engagement with the audience online and offline, giving you the flexibility of choosing through your control room who from your online audience has a voice on stage, and having other AI-driven algorithms that take care of, for example, the people who are online. You can make sure if there's no one on the camera screen, it automatically switches off and removes that person from the feed. Or a person leaves the camera, it goes into a different, it replaces them with someone else's feed, and lots more. There's so much of tech that goes behind making something as simple as this so seamless. It's all about the audience experience, right? So then comes the visual aspect. One of the things that people always ask me is like, what can we do different? What can we do unique? I need something that's never been seen before. Now here, for example, Row, this is by Tundra. This is an installation using the existing LED fans. I'm sure we have seen good and bad versions of them all across the globe, from small markets to large-scale events, but it all boils down to which piece of technology has been used to what potential. And what you're seeing here right now is using the existing holographic fans in a linear manner, creating a solution that makes it much more appealing and a unique approach. So this was an award-winning installation. I'll show you a short video on how the same was deployed. A unique delivery, taking inspiration from Row at Tundra, but then delivering existing technology and creating something which has never been done before. Right? So when it comes to displays, this is something which is in big demand in today's industry because everything is about content. Everything is now so driven by content that people need to have innovation in terms of what are the display canvases available out there. So one of the things that I've been working on for quite some time is how we could transform and create, a minority report kind of a scenario where you have transparent screens, massive canvases, and very seamless integration of interactivity. Here is a technology that has basically transformed the scalability of OLED, which is basically converting any regular glass into an LED screen and giving you the flexibility of having content, interactive or playback, in massive canvases, in unique shapes and scale, to any kind of a surface, may it be indoor or outdoor, with the required certification to completely change the glass facade of a building with content, and letting the people inside not see ugly LED mesh backend, which basically obstructs the view. So that's a reference of some of the installations. This is a very recent installation that has been deployed in China. The entire facade of the entrance of the mall was completely replaced with glass with very unique shapes and forms, as you can see at the bottom right corner. So this technology allows you to customize glass panels to any shape with the LED mesh built into the glass itself, and giving you flexibility of a massive canvas of content that completely changed the game when it comes to content management and interactivity. You could have certain areas using obviously third-party softwares and hardware to create, for example, Opti2E, having laser scanners to interact on certain panels, and the rest is all content. Here, this is almost 830 plus square meters of glass panels that were completely built with the mesh inside. As you can see, that's the view from the inside, which completely does not obstruct the natural daylight, into the mall. So let's talk about the Web3. This is a whole new era that we've been seeing over the last 2 years, and with the whole metaverse approach. What are the possibilities? And all of this is something new to the audience in content creation. But that's a massive creative economy, which by itself has been the next stepping stone when it comes to content creators, and the tools that are available today to make things much easier to get into that space. So I'll talk about some of the hardware that complements the experience in those worlds, because in the end, if a person gets into a virtual or a VR experience, if you're just moving around with gestures, you're restricted in your space, right? You're stuck within your room's virtual physical boundary, because your virtual boundary may be seamless, but you're stuck within the space you're restricted in. With a technology like this, it gives you absolute, zero restrictions in terms of in which direction you want to run, play, jump, etc. You could do things like you would normally do in a virtual game, but now with no restrictions and having to do gesture control action, but actually moving and being able to engage in that space. And the same thing can be used for this kind of free movement in terms of training, in other kinds of gamification, and not always just in one fixed environment. This could be easily plugged in to several of the gamification experiences that you've seen in today's world. So what next? The next thing is, besides the virtual world moving, it's about the feel, right? You want to start to feel the impact of bullets. You want to feel the impact of burning or water or light without being hurt, of course. So this is haptic suits. These are very advanced haptic suits today, which is not really affordable for the general public, but it's a matter of time before you'll see this coming to the consumer market, which will change the game when it comes to virtual experiences and having to feel the impact within an interactive scenario in the virtual world. Talking about interactive robotic surfaces, it means we're talking about a world where now motion and haptics is something that will eventually get replaced by actual environments that are having haptic feedback. You're talking about an evolution in hardware that will change the game in the way things happen, because this would be a whole new world in hardware when it comes to actual infrastructure of locations that will give you haptic feedbacks. Gamification that does not require anymore for you to wear virtual glasses. You're standing, you're being able to feel the earth move under you, the ground move under you in part of a gamification experience, or let's say you choose to go skateboarding on the Alps, going down, a ski slope, and you want to feel the friction, you want to feel the movement. All of that could be done through obviously this technology, which actually changes the environment and gives you haptic feedback for anything that you see and touch. Now, this itself is obviously technology and R&D. It's a matter of some time before it comes into the market and becomes feasible for the consumer, but that's the direction in where we are going. In terms of virtual worlds and the metaverse, those kind of hardwares will change the game for many industries. When it comes to, for example, interactive cinema, this is something that is picking up now, where you can start to engage in movies and choose alternative endings, right? Many times you watch a movie and you wish that something was done differently, right? So now that's your opportunity. Through these kind of movies now, in this kind of scenario, you have alternative endings which change the way the movie ends, or based on decisions that you take as a viewer. And then, of course, there's concerts, you having the possibility of being virtually transported to any part of the world, watching from different camera angles and being backstage, and things that you wouldn't be possible on the physical world. Shopping, of course, again, here, this is an element that has to change in terms of giving the people the actual feel, and that would be with the hardware I was talking about. We hear all of these terms in terms of AR, VR, MR, mixed reality, virtual reality, but all of this is, again, environments. In the end, what is there in terms of hardware to make these kind of things possible? Here, for example, in terms of filming robotics, things are getting so much more advanced when it comes to using black tracks or using MOSIS and other sensor-based technology, which now makes it so much simpler, smoother through robotics and cameras to create these XR infrastructure that makes it as simple as having two people operate an entire studio with this kind of technology. It also has, for example, built-in sensors that restrict the camera from hitting someone if they're passing by in an area that they shouldn't be around the robotics. So it's taken the safety also to a whole new level, making it so much simpler and reducing the amount of manpower and reducing the amount of footprint you require within a studio to make this kind of things possible. One of my last piece of technology I'd like to show, which is the most interesting one that I've been playing with over the years now, is volumetric 3D. This is basically the world's most advanced volumetric display that I've worked with. This gives you the flexibility of creating skins and playback and having digital twins and performances the way you could have interactivity. But what next is the incorporation of AI, NLP, and having ChatGPT as part of the experience, where now you have actual skins and bots that could be part of an event, it could be a virtual host, it could be a live host that is interacting with you in real time, with the necessary filters, of course, and you can choose from various libraries of voices and other modulations for you to deliver an experience which is engaging rather than just pre-recorded. So that's just the beginning. We've just cracked the code on this, and there's going to be, of course, a lot more advancement when it comes to where we see ChatGPT and OpenAI taking us with the access to what the world is going in today in terms of AI, and bringing that to events itself.
Thank you very much, Sujoy.